Good afternoon and welcome to CommuniTEA. I am so elated to have you all. This is episode 5.
Yes.
So, Portia, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It is a wonderful day. It's so good to see you too. I'm so happy that we've made it to 5 episodes. I feel like we should do like a little celebration.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about this. Yes.
So what do you have coming up? What announcements do we have?
Okay, so first, I just want to thank anybody who has become a member of our awesome, amazing organization over the past 5 weeks. Thank you so much. We need your energy. We need your ideas. We need your commitment. So thank you to anyone who has joined the organization, who's joined the Houston branch. I know we've got an influx of memberships to the Houston branch. So we are powered through numbers. We are powered through membership. We've kind of talked about this before, but all of us are volunteers down here on the local level across the country. So we appreciate your contributions to the organization so that we can keep this justice work going. So as always, membership is only $30 for a year. So if you join today on May 20th of 2020, you will be a member until May 20th, 2021. But if you want to make a deeper, longer, more committed, you want to be more committed in this relationship to the NAACP, I encourage you to become a life member. I'm a subscribing life member. I'm not fully paid yet, but that's $75 a year for Silver Life, and it kind of goes up from there. But that's $750, 10 equal payments of $75, or you can, double up or pay it as you can, as long as you make that $75 payment a year. So I just encourage you to go to our website, naacphouston.org, to join on a local level. But if you're watching this and you're somewhere else in the United States, somewhere else in Texas, you can go to the national website, go to the Join Us, become a member tab. And as long as you put your zip code in, they'll give you the closest branch to your zip code for you to join, or you can always be an at-large member, which means you have no specific affiliation, but you're just a part of the NAACP. I will tell you, though, there's a lot of memberships coming in, a lot of people dedicated to this work and wanting to be involved. So the membership department at the national office is a small department as it is. So you'll get your membership card. So be patient. It's coming. But you are a member as soon as you pay. As soon as that payment is processed, you are officially a member. So hold on to that receipt so that you know that you're a member. And here at the Houston branch, we're going to start sending out some information to you shortly.
This evening.
This evening, actually, to let you know that you are officially been counted in the number with the NAACP here at Houston branch and part of the larger NAACP family across the nation. So thank y'all. Join today. Let me just keep pushing that. We want you to be part of our organization. So to kind of shift it a little bit, we've been drawing or kind of pushing a lot of traffic to our national website. We've got a lot of phenomenal things going on at the national level. One of them we've been talking about since the beginning of this month. The national organization launched the We Are Done Dying initiative, and it's multifaceted. Okay, it was launched largely in reaction to the Ahmaud Arbery murder, in Georgia, but it's multifaceted, right? They just released a wonderful graphics, kind of a short video. You can view it on the national websites, the National Association's Facebook page, and it's We Are Done Dying, we're done mourning, we're done suffering, we're done crying, we're done hiding. So it's multifaceted. It's not just talking about the unlawful deaths of Black and brown people, but it's also talking about health disparities, food insecurities, multiple things and multiple injustices that are plaguing our community. So I encourage you to go to the national website. As soon as you go to the national website, there's literally a box that pops up right in the middle, and you can click it to learn more about the We Are Done Dying initiative and get started immobilizing today. So I encourage you to go and find out that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for that. And in that same regard, as Portia was mentioning about membership, you will, if you've joined us recently, you will be receiving an email, if you haven't received it already, about our membership, our general membership meeting, which is tomorrow. So we're excited about that as well. So we have a lot going on in this virtual space. We found ourselves able to transition, or as a word you're going to hear us say all day, shift. So just we're excited to have you. The work is plentiful. As Portia said, we're volunteers, but this work is valuable. I like to say it's kingdom building. It's,
it is kingdom work.
Much higher purpose than just ourselves or just our local communities, because what we do today impacts our future. So again, we just want to thank you for your interest and your willingness to join our dynamic organization. I am the chair of our connection committee, thinking another organization, community coordination committee, and Portia is the chair of our young adults committee. And we work in concert on many of our efforts. We work in a concerted effort. In our comment section over on Facebook, I know some of you may be watching this on YouTube Live, some of you may be on Facebook, but on our Facebook, you'll see some of our committee members responding to your comments. If you have questions or concerns, they're there to help you. And as we go through the show, we'll be adding some things into the comment section. But again, we're really excited to have you with us. Now, so today's show is all about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And we are excited with this season that we're in, that we've all been put in unexpectedly, some of us unwillingly, but we're in it nonetheless. We've had to become creative, but we've always been creative as a people. And Absolutely. So that's why this platform is here. That's why we developed CommuniTEA. And CommuniTEA is for our entire branch, so that we can communicate things that are going on. So we're bringing you tools, engagement, and advocacy. And we try to do that every day. That's why you're seeing all the information being shared. And we will
a ton of posts being shared.
Yes. Starting tomorrow, we'll have our first special edition of CommuniTEA. And that will feature a conversation about COVID-19 in our communities, featuring Dr. Joseph Gaith, who is an infectious disease specialist here in Houston. He's world-renowned, but he's local. He's located here in Houston. So that'll be exciting tomorrow at 5 o'clock, right here on this page, whether it's our Facebook or YouTube. It'll be live tomorrow, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I see we have our first guest in. He's not a stranger
to our show.
Right? He is what I like to call our special correspondent when it comes to Black restaurants around Houston. And I know many of you visit Houston and you love our restaurant scene. Well, this is the guy that knows all about it. So I'm bringing in Mr. Keandre Jordan. Hi, Keandre. Unmute your mic. Here, let me do it.
Oh, it's unmuted. It's unmuted.
Hey, all right. Good to see you.
How y'all doing?
Good. I love that smile.
Oh, thank you.
It's so warm.
Thank you.
It is.
So tell us, what's the new find? What's the latest eats?
I got them written down. So I got about a couple of restaurants that I really enjoy, and and the reason why I chose these restaurants is because they work in Black excellence. They have great customer service. They actually have Black cooks, and they actually are authentic. And so we have Cajun Mouth. Cajun Mouth is a food truck over in the Fondren, greater Southwest Houston area, West Belford West Belford and Gessner. So they got like Creole style food. Then Daiquiri City over on the north side, like Studentwood area. So then Fat Cats is a food truck down here close to off Alameda. So those are like my top 3 places that I've been to in the last couple of weeks, and they definitely work in Black excellence. And I definitely, tell everybody to go, but make sure like when you go eat, think about going eating and things like that. Make sure you think about Black first, because a lot of our businesses are hurting during this time. And they just need, of course, the visibility, because they already have the credibility. They just need to be visible, and so that we can spend our Black dollars with them.
Okay, I have a question, Keandre. Really quick. Sorry, I have a question. So, you mentioned that I think Occasion Mouth, is that like a brick and mortar or is that a food truck? Because I know you said Daiquiri City and Fat Cats. Are they food trucks? Are they like stationary food trucks?
So Cajun Mall and Fat Cats are 2 food trucks.
Okay.
And then Daiquiri City is an actual brick and mortar, like in the Studewood area.
Okay. And so what are some of like each of these restaurants, what is their kind of signature dish? I know you said I don't know if this was the first time you went to them this week, or what are some of their signature dishes that people can look for?
Cajun Mouth, they got it all. I would say their crawfish right now is their hot point. They said that their pasta does pretty well, but me personally, I had the crawfish, the shrimp, the fish, and as well as the French fries, and all of that was pretty good.
Okay, so, awesome.
Yeah, anything they got is good. Daiquiri City, their biggest thing is of course daiquiris, but then they have good fish as well. But they have like that kind of like their hood food that's pretty good.
Okay.
Fat Cat, they're another type of Creole restaurant. So their biggest thing is they do like Creole infused food with Asian. So like you'll have a fish plate, but then it'll be fish on top of like shrimp fried rice or something like that.
Okay.
And then they put an egg on top of, you know how like you got the egg, the scrambled egg, and shrimp fried rice. So they do that on top of with some Creole seasoning and some chives.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. And then they do snow cones.
Is it Creole style? Like, so are the dishes big? So I know we eat a lot down here. So are there big dishes? Are they kind of small? Like, are they snack size? What's the like? You going for lunch or are you going for dinner? Like, what's the best time to kind of hit these places up?
The best time. See, they're a food truck, right? So which means that food trucks take a lot longer to cook your food, about 15 minutes longer. So they go from, I would say, go after 5 o'clock.
After 5.
Yeah.
So for dinner.
Yeah, for dinner. Because they just have a long, because they right off Alameda. So if when you see that purple truck, you miss it, you just turn right back around. I can see if I can find a picture of it. But yeah, their stuff is pretty good. Then they, of course, like I say, they have snow cones. Not snowballs, but snow cones.
Snow cones, okay.
You can't see that. No, you can't see it.
All right. Well, Keandre, thank you so much for joining us. I know you have your Instagram page, so shout out your Instagram so that people can follow you, so they can learn about these different Black restaurants in our community. So they don't have to just wait for you to come on here. They can follow you and see when you're posting them.
So my Instagram is at My Southern Brand, which is pretty at the screen. And then it's My Southern Brand on Facebook, and it's mysouthernbrand.com.
Is it MySpace?
I'm all over the place. And so next time we all see me, hopefully I have a haircut and step out on faith and get a haircut.
It really is a faith walk if you're gonna do that for sure. Yeah. So thank you so much, Keandre, for joining us. And we will have you back, of course, as our special correspondent to talk some more about Black businesses. So thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Okay. All right. So there's July. She's back.
I'm back. That was awesome. So we put in the notes that we will publish a list of these restaurants that Keandre named. We'll publish that on all of our social media sites, and we do want to encourage you to visit them as often as you can. He found one for me that has whiting, because I don't eat catfish, but I love people. Girl, we don't eat catfish like that in Florida. We got mullet, perch, whiting. We got too many other fish. So no, we don't eat catfish like that. So I've been homesick. I'm long overdue. And he found a place with some whiting. So I'll be getting that to go this weekend. And I can't wait to go home so my mama can fry me some hot mullet.
You wanna shout out that restaurant? What restaurant? So all the Florida people.
Hold on. Yes, I can. It's Please. I want to go to another announcement while I look for that.
Okay, so I talked a little bit about voting, but I just want to actually talk about, we mentioned this last week, Diane Troutman has stepped down as the Harris County Clerk. So there was a huge announcement today. Her replacement has been named. It's Chris Hollins. He's a friend of the NAACP. We know him and love him. So super excited about him taking on that role. He's going to finish out the rest of her term through 2020. So he's a Morehouse grad, member of Omega Psi Phi, from Missouri City. So he's done some awesome, amazing work in the community. I'm an attorney by trade. So I have full faith that he'll do a wonderful job. And we need someone that we can kind of trust and advocate for us as a people and in that role, especially considering all the stuff that's going on with elections. So some other news, we had some awesome other news with voting. So I'm sure some of you guys have seen it if you're here in Texas. We had a huge victory. Federal judge Fred Byrie granted a preliminary injunction or a command or approval rather that allows for all registered voters to apply to vote by mail. So you can do an absentee ballot. So all the efforts, there was multiple lawsuits filed against the state of Texas and our election rules. We talked about it last week a little bit about the Texas State Conference filing a lawsuit to kind of help with the mail-in ballot restrictions. So now there's no age limit. Initially, prior to the order issued yesterday, to be able to have an absentee ballot in the state of Texas or to request an absentee ballot, you had to be either over 65 or older, have a disability, be in jail awaiting a sentencing, or also be absent, literally not going to be in the county on the day of elections. So this is a huge victory for us. Keep in mind, we do have an election taking place on July 14th, and that is the primary runoff election. So there were some positions or some offices or candidates that were not finalized during the March primary elections. So this is the runoff election that was initially supposed to happen this month that was moved due to the pandemic. So that's going to take place on July 14th. The deadline to register to vote is June 15th. So it's less than a month away if you're not currently registered to vote in the state of Texas. In order to vote in that primary election runoff, you have to be registered to vote by June 15th. We've shared some resources on our branch page with the links to be able to request request a voter registration card to be able to fill that out and get that processed. We are also getting ready to launch a partnership with another civil rights organization rooted in voter mobilization and voter empowerment to kind of help register those that aren't registered to vote in the coming weeks leading up to that deadline on June 15th. So the early voting days for that July 14th election, so you can vote June 29th through July 2nd, July 5th, and then July 6th through the 10th. Those are the early voting periods here in Harris County. So for that election, so once we get past that voter registration deadline, if you are registered to vote, as of right now, no matter your age, you can request a mail-in ballot if you don't feel safe going out to the polls for that election. That's what it is right now. They're more than likely going to appeal it. Our state Attorney General Kim Paxton is not on board with expanding or changing the election rules prior to this election in light of COVID-19 pandemic. But this is a huge victory for all of us on the ground fighting to make sure that there's full voting participation and that there's no suppression to our vote. So this is a huge victory. So just keep an eye out for that update as more comes available, but we'll definitely share it with you as we always do. But we just want to make sure that you know right now you can request a mail-in ballot, and the last day to request that ballot is July 2nd. So you have over a month and a half really to request that, but I would say get on it as quickly as possible, and we'll make sure to share those resources and how you can request the absentee ballot in the coming weeks as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Portia. So we have our second guest. She is a fitness trainer and entrepreneur, gym owner, Miss Antonique, and she'll be joining us. Hi.
Hello.
How are you? So, and of course, we have our very own Mr. Andre Johnson. And Andre, I'm gonna turn it over to you to conduct this interview.
All right. What's going on, Antonique? How you doing?
I'm
Hey.
wonderful. How are you?
All right. Just introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little bit about your company.
All right. My name is Antonique. I am a fitness trainer and gym owner of Phoenix Fitness facility in Houston, located in the Galleria area. I've been a trainer for about 12 years, and I've owned Phoenix for about 1.5 years now. And that's pretty much it. I'm 37 years old, and I'm in fitness.
Okay. So tell us a little bit how I guess the Corona and the COVID-19 have kind of affected your business and how you're transitioning into reopening.
Okay. Well, it was a big change for me. I did have to figure out how to adapt to the virtual world, which I successfully did. So very grateful for that. But I did shut my doors down after the governor, said we had to close gyms. I was probably the last or one of the last gyms to close down, simply because I felt like, what better way to boost your immune system than fitness? So let me not, close my gym down and, keep that avenue of staying healthy, keep that away from people. So I probably was one of the last gyms to close down. But when I did, I had to figure out, how to keep my business running, because even though, I shut my doors, my rent still had to be paid. I've already paid 2 months of rent and have not utilized my building, which is terrible. But thank goodness, like I said, I'm very grateful to have been able to switch over to the virtual world. And it's been a blessing. It's been truly a blessing, because I've been able to tap into a nationwide market that I didn't have when I was simply operating out of my gym. So now I have clients all over the country, all over the world.
And that's through your virtual classes, right?
That's through my virtual classes, yeah.
All right. So with the city opening up, and I guess fitness gyms are able to open back up, how are you preparing yourself, to get back into the string of your classes?
Well, we opened, or they gave us the okay to open on this past Monday, Monday, the 18th. But I decided to push mine back to the 25th. So I'll be opening back up on next Monday. And the reason I decided to do that, because we still had a lot of things that we wanted to get in place before we opened doors. And that not only was it the safety issues, or the safety, making sure everything's disinfected, making sure the gym has been completely professionally disinfected. But also we're putting into place different, techniques to keep everybody safe, social distance. We taped off the turf. We've created sections for single, you can work out in a single space with a lot of distance between different clients. I will be operating probably with 10 clients per class. I mean, I'll be working a little bit harder as far as implementing more classes, but the class sizes will be smaller. And also I will be going virtual from the class, as well as I'll be going virtual from the gym.
Yeah, see, that was my next,
as well as virtually.
Yeah, that's my next question. How are you going to transition from? Are you still going to offer the virtual classes? So yes, you're still going to offer them, but I mean, we'll have to get you back on and have when we have a fitness show. But before you go out, can you tell people how to find you? What days your classes and times and everything?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Antonique, or my gym's Instagram at Phoenix FENIXX_fit. Or you can log onto our website and book your classes, www.phoenixfenixxfit.com. And we're also on Facebook, FENIXXfit.com.
All right.
That's our social media.
All right.
For everything.
All right. I thank you for coming on, man. And we'll be in touch. We'll definitely have to do a virtual fitness.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye.
My mic was muted. Thank you, Dre, for that, for conducting that for us. Let me remove that. We appreciate you. I know you're out, leaving your office, headed home. So thank you for obliging us and conducting that interview. And see, this is what it's about, people. Like, unprecedented times. You know, we're adjusting, we are shifting, we are equipping ourselves so that we can continue to move our community forward. And so just want to thank Dre again for doing that for us, and we'll see you shortly.
All right, Mom.
So our next guest, that was phenomenal, Antonique. So again, you can follow her on Instagram, Antonique, Antanique. I think I spelled it correctly, but it is on our flyer that promoted today's episode. So make sure that you follow her over on Instagram. You can follow her here on Facebook and probably on all social media platforms. She owns a gym here locally in Houston, in the Houston area, and she's a fitness trainer. So if you need some fitness, I know I put on a few pounds or several since we've been in quarantine. This is an awesome opportunity to, get fit and have that one-on-one or small group experience. So please reach out to her. We want to encourage that. And as she was talking about making the decision to close her business, these are real things. And like she said, she's still paying rent, even though the doors to her brick and mortar gym are closed. So again, this is entrepreneurship in these unprecedented times. So our next guest is Mr. Anthony Kolbert. Let me make sure. Yeah, Mr. Anthony Kolbert is up next. Anthony, you there? Maybe not. So I'm going to bring Portia back in to give us a couple of more announcements while we wait on Mr. Kolbert. You're muted, Portia.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. So we've touched on multiple things, but I also want to highlight the Harris County Commissioner's Court and Judge Lena Hidalgo. They passed a huge relief package, ginormous relief package yesterday during their Commissioner Court meeting. And that was $30 million relief fund for Harris County. So that doubles the relief package that was pushed out a couple of weeks ago. And that $15 million that they pushed out a couple of weeks ago was gone in 90 minutes. I watched the Urban League did a webinar with Commissioner Ellis from Precinct 1, and he talked about it. It's an amazing effort, amazing feat for us to get that $15 million passed for renter assistance, for childcare, to kind of eliminate food insecurity. So it's awesome and amazing they were able to pass that $30 million relief package yesterday. So I'm excited to be living in Harris County with us having officials that are really dedicated to making sure that our individuals' needs are met, their basic needs are met. And I just want to commend the Commissioner's Court and Judge Lena Hidalgo for pushing through that $30 million. That money will be pushed more than likely through Baker Ripley, which is who the last fund assistance went through. So be sure to be looking out for that information. We'll make sure that we blast out that information as soon as it's available for those that need it. Like we said, the last package, all that money, $15 million, was gone in 90 seconds. So we want to make sure that we are available, that information is available to those who need it, and you're able to get that assistance if you are truly in need. So thank you, July. I know you said our next guest is here. So I will move aside for you to bring him in.
Thank you, Portia. So now we will be joined by Mr. Anthony Kolbert. Hi, Ant. You're on mute. Can't hear you. Turn your volume up. We don't have sound. You have your Bluetooth on? Yes, and your Bluetooth. Okay, so go out and come back in. Well, hold on. You muted yourself. Unmute yourself. There you go. No, you're not. We're having to, I had so much to ask him. Leave out and come back in. Okay. So while he's getting his sound together, as Portia was mentioning, yes, Commissioner's Court, Harris County Commissioner's Court, we have four commissioners and our county judge. I think it was a 3-2 vote. I'm not sure, so don't hold me to it. But the budget was passed for $30 million for renters relief. And that is phenomenal. The last one was announced 2 weeks ago, and it went live last week. And in 90 minutes, those funds were exhausted. Okay, I see I got Anthony back. Let's see if I can get him in here. How about now? I still can't hear you. It's something on your end. I'm gonna take you off the screen. You figured I'd just start talking. When I hear you, I'll bring you back on. All right. So with Commissioner's Court, you see what I'm saying? We're shifting. But with Commissioner's Court, it's great to see that more people will get relief. I know some people are like, well, I got to go figure it out, so they need to. We're not gonna do that. We're going to support our neighbors and hope for the best for each of us, so that we together can be Houston strong, or Harris County strong, or Texas strong, however you want to do it. So we're really excited about that. Also, as we mentioned at the top of the show, I just want to remind you all, tomorrow at 5 p.m. right here, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will be joined by world-renowned physician and researcher, scientist. He is an infectious disease specialist, Dr. Joseph Gay Jr. He will be joining us to talk to us about COVID-19 in our community and the ways that it's affecting people for real. He's going to come and drop a lot of nuggets. You may have heard of him. He practices here in Houston. Right now, he's running the COVID operation over at UMC here in Houston. And he is one of the leaders that is responsible for the Beyonce Foundation, Be Good, and their testing sites. There are 2 testing sites here in Houston, one on the south side and one on the north side. So he had a lot to do with that being done, because there wasn't enough testing being done, and he's seeing the patients. His hospital, the hospital he's working out of, UMC, and that's UMMC. I know I'm speaking fast, but UMMC, they found great success in saving lives. So he'll be here to join us tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock to discuss that. All right, Anthony, you ready? Oh, okay, Anthony, I'm gonna have to bring you on Friday. We'll just do a special edition because we need to hear this talk. We really need to hear what you got to say. All right. So you guys, I'm sorry the sound isn't working with Anthony, but he's a friend of the show. He's been on before, but what he needs to talk about is very important. So be sure to look for a flyer. We're going to bring Anthony back to talk about real world small business, not Ruth Chris claiming to be a small business, but small businesses like the kind that you may own or that your neighbor or your friend, hair salons, barbershops, people who make candles. Those are true small businesses. So he's going to come back in and talk to us about the real world for them in this climate of COVID-19, as well as offer us a few key things for existing entrepreneurs and those who seek to become entrepreneurs, things that they should be doing. And so we're really looking forward to that. So we'll bring Anthony. I will coordinate that with his office to get him back on the show later this week. Is that cool, Anthony? He said he's giving me a thumbs up. I can see him in the background. All right, perfect. Next, we have Portia's going to come back for our next segment, and we talk about social enterprise. So this should be really good. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy.
Okay, so I am so excited about our next couple of guests. I consider him a friend. I'm so happy to have him here. Dieter Cantu. I had the opportunity to meet this amazing young man. I'll say young man. We're around the same age, but this amazing young man. Last year, as the Houston branch, we had our Freedom Fund celebration, and I was on the Freedom Fund committee, and we were trying to find millennial game changers, right? Millennials that were just doing some awesome, amazing work in the community. And I hadn't personally met Dieter yet at this point, but I had been following him on social media, and I was just amazed at the work that he was doing. So, of course, I sent him the information and was like, please, please, please be a part of this initiative. And, you know, I was so happy when he won our 2019, our inaugural Millennial Game Changer Award. So I'm so happy to have him here. And so Dieter, just kind of tell us, you have a dynamic story, a dynamic background. So just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and then really how you shifted and how you made it to this point where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Dieter Kent, I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. You know, I grew up in the Illinois, Missouri area. You know, different trials and tribulations growing up. I guess my story, which a lot of people, I guess, know me for, aside from my work in the community, was, you know, my involvement with the juvenile justice system. So while I was a child, I was a participator, or I was involved in an aggravated robbery charge. And so I was the only child with 3 older peers. I was 16, everybody else was like 17, 18, 19. And so robbery happened. It wasn't premeditated, probably was, you know, 60 seconds. Somebody just took a cell phone and a pack of cigarettes. And me not knowing my rights, not having any proper representation in court, I received a 10-year sentence while my peers
Wow.
all went home. You know what I mean? So that's for me, not having a weapon, the victim of the crime not identifying me, not even wanting to press charges, but the state picked it up. And so me hearing 25 to 40 in the adult system, we're signing a plea bargain for 10, I signed for 10. So I did about 4 years incarcerated in TYC, what's called TJJD now, but the Texas Youth Commission. And so I just did a lot of community organizing at the time. Well, a lot of organizing in the jail system. And so, you know, when I was released, I just wanted to transfer that energy and just give back to youth who are, you know, going through the same things that I were going through, or facing, you know, different things coming from disenfranchised communities. So that's where we're at today.
Well, thank you, Dieter. So we have another guest that just popped in, Ed. Ed Joyner. So Ed, I just asked Dieter, this is also a brother that I met through Dieter last year, just a magnetic personality. And so Ed, if you can kind of tell us a little bit about your story, you have a dynamic story as well. So just give us a little bit of a nugget, a little bit of information about who you are, and how you kind of got to where you are right now and what you do right now.
My name is Edward Jointer. Everybody knows me as Ed Jointer. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago. And that's where I spent all of my formative years. When I was about 19 years old, I was shot multiple times, had to have a bunch of surgeries. And from that moment, I began to try to, you know, work to repair my life. Subsequently, what happened was 2 of my childhood friends was arrested for allegedly shooting the person who shot me. One was convicted and one was found not guilty. My friend who was convicted was sentenced to 28 years in prison. And that's what led me on the journey to do the work that I do today as an attorney. So that's how I got to Houston, coming to law school. And that's why part of the work that I do is focused on criminal justice reform, to right certain wrongs and to make sure that individuals have adequate legal defense.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I just want to shout out TSU because I'm also a TSU graduate. So shout out to Texas Southern. So thank you for that, Ed. So we have you guys on here together. You guys kind of come as a pair for me. So tell us a little bit about how you guys work together now, and what you guys do in the Houston community. I know you guys have the Troutman family. So kind of tell us a little bit about that and the work that you guys are doing currently.
Yeah, for sure. So we started the Troutman family, which is a you know, social enterprise, and that consists of nonprofit and for-profit companies. So that consists of, you know, literacy programs for incarcerated youth. That's community gardens, you name it. We have, you know, Ed doing the law side, and we do know your rights workshops. used car dealership, and we're really just trying to keep the black dollar in the black community. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just be honest with you and create a direct line from, you know, community members to philanthropy and funders. You know, we offer services such as grant writing, where to find grants, and you know, how to just get help, and, you know, just self-liberation, you know. And I think you know, now more than ever, you know, with the COVID-19 situation, I think you know, us as a culture as a whole should take it, you know, if we didn't take it important then, we should take it more seriously now. So
right. And Ed, did you have anything to add to that? Unmute yourself, Ed. You gotta unmute it.
Can you hear me
there
now?
Yeah.
No, I think Cantu hit it spot on. The work that we do is a collaborative effort of multiple individuals with individual entities, really just working to create a pipeline, as Cantu alluded to, and try to create a small model of group economics that hopefully one day can be scaled on a macro level.
Okay, so I'll call you Cantu. So you guys talked about, you said a lot in that, right? So I heard a community garden, I heard grant writing, I know the Know Your Rights workshops, I heard a car dealership. So you guys are doing a lot. So kind of explain this kind of concept of social entrepreneurship. I think that's really encapsulates what you guys are doing. So kind of how did you come up with this model? I know you talked about a group collaborative effort, Ed, as well. So how did you guys come up with this model? And that's such a unique mix of services and, you know, kind of initiatives that you guys have started. So how did you guys kind of come up with all of that to kind of bring together?
Right. I mean, I think really it's just like, you know, creating public services through private organizations. You know what I mean? It's I think I'm blessed enough to have the friends that I have where we all have our own agendas, but we also realize, you know, we don't all have to do the same thing. We can delegate and be good at what our own crafts are and just invest into one another. You know what I mean? So that's really what social enterprise is just, you know, how can we use our creativity to control the narrative, if you get what I'm trying to say. So
Absolutely.
It's not really just reinventing the wheel. It's just saying, you know, how do I recognize talent, and then how do I really support my fellow brother, you know? So
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank y'all for sharing that. So how you kind of talked a little bit earlier, Cantu, you mentioned about COVID-19, how we need to be even more cognizant of what's going on in our community. Especially we know that Black people and brown people are being infected with the disease at disproportionate levels. We're dying at disproportionate levels. So and our businesses are being impacted. So you guys have multiple kind of initiative, multiple businesses that are going. And Ed, I can ask you this as well. Like, how has COVID-19 affected you guys and your businesses and the things that you guys are doing, or has it had a positive impact? Has it given you more time? I know we just heard from Antonique that it's given her another avenue. So how have you guys been impacted with this kind of pandemic, and how has that kind of changed your narrative or kind of shifted, you know, what you guys are doing?
Right. I think the challenge with us was more so like we do our nonprofit efforts and charitable efforts through the for-profit. So it was kind of shifting to say, how do we continue to help people? Because we naturally help people, right? But how do we do it based off our for-profit endeavors? But on the flip side, I think it was a positive because it gave us, or it's giving us time to kind of restructure and re-strategize and kind of, you know, just kind of condense everything. Before, you know, you can kind of get caught up in being everywhere at once and just trying to keep up with the momentum you've created, right? So I think
Absolutely.
we could be more strategic, or we're going to come out of this a lot more strategic and, you know, just with a different agenda, just to be prepared to say, you know, again, you saw what happened to the grocery stores. If you're not growing food, you might want to grow it now. You know, if you saw how many
Absolutely.
people got laid off, you might not want to depend on one source of income. Like this shows you that
Absolutely.
to have investments and all that. So we're blessed enough to have that in place, but it's also to say, okay, in hindsight, you know, how many people have we touched because we're not we're not fiscal? How many people are we really helping because it did impact us? You know what I mean? So.
Okay. And then Ed, from your perspective of like kind of being an attorney and that being your primary income, but like a primary kind of venture, but how has that kind of impacted some of your know your rights? Has it been like an influx of individuals, or just considering all the stuff that's happening in the community here in Houston? We've got some police shootings and some other things going on. Has that kind of done anything and shifted your focus at all?
I think it has shifted my focus in part to make sure that know your rights encompass more than just criminal justice reform. I think now know your rights also has to include economic reform, economic education, financial literacy, and really how to maneuver in a world that will be changed. So for me, I've been looking at ways to diversify. Practicing law is my profession, but my trades, my hustles, that's entrepreneurship. And so whether it's things like getting myself involved in e-commerce through online clothing, or having Zoom meetings about know your rights, having Zoom meetings about economic development, we've just shifted, and we see that moving with the times, particularly being on the cutting edge of technology, benefits small businesses, entrepreneurs in ways that traditional models cannot.
Okay, awesome. That's great. I know we're all kind of adjusting and moving and shifting a lot of things to virtual. So I'm happy to know that you were able to kind of shift your focus online. So we are kind of wrapping up our segment, but what's next for you guys? I know I follow I follow Ken too on social media, and there's always something popping up in his stories. So what's next for you guys? What's next for Trident family? What's next for you guys individually? Like, where are you guys kind of seeing and shifting as we kind of go forward?
Well, what's next for Trident family? I think that there's definitely, can you all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. What's next for Trident family is really to come back from Corona, being more visible than ever. Trying to be safe, trying to get the word out. We have some plans, hopefully, for early in July with the second annual Trident Family Growth and Development Weekend. So we're still moving. We're looking forward to make a big comeback from Corona. Individually, for me personally, like I said, I've invested myself in e-commerce with online modest apparel, and I've just been working, really just been working to make the biggest impact, whether Corona lifts or not. And hopefully once it does, we can really get back out into community and do the things that we love doing most.
Absolutely. Thank you. And then Cantu, if you had anything to add.
I think you hit it on the head.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for coming out and just sharing your stories and sharing some of the efforts that you guys are doing. Hopefully you can inspire some of our watchers, our viewers to, move in the same lane and be young entrepreneurs and like really impact the community in a meaningful way. So hopefully we can have you guys on soon again. And then
Portia, if I may, let me say this to both of you all. I think the work that you all are doing is incredible. I think this type of stuff has to take place. It's very valuable to our community, and don't let anyone undermine it. So I want you all to be encouraged, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ed. That means a lot. So thank you all so much for coming, and I will be in touch. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
July, you're muted, July.
Okay. So that was wonderful. That was wonderful because they are moving the community forward and they're helping other people become entrepreneurs. And so, again, the theme is shift, and it's kind of obvious why it's the theme today. The underlying theme, although the topic is entrepreneurship in these unprecedented times of COVID-19. And I think what we've heard from each of our guests today is how they have shifted, how they've adjusted. Even us, we've adjusted. Our work has never been this in your face, and this is different for us. We're usually in the background making things happen. And, sometimes that causes criticism because they're like, y'all not doing that.
NAACP not doing nothing.
Yeah, but we're working. You don't have time to show off and say, hey, look at me. but we're understanding that people do need to see us, and the visibility is important. So we're just very grateful for this platform and this opportunity. So Portia, thank you for those guests. And I'm going to bring in our special guest for the evening. I'm going to bring in Pastor Keon. So I'll bring you back in a little later.
All right, cool.
Thank you. So before I bring him to the screen, I just want to tell y'all about him. So Pastor Keon is from Gary, Indiana. I first met him. He probably don't remember this, but I first met him. I was working a booth, and he was a speaker, and his speech was just so powerful. I was like, I got to follow him. Like, I need to know who this is, because it was so important. And I should have known then that he would write a book such as The Shift. So I'm really excited about hearing from him. I want all of you all to right now just share this video, because I already know something amazing is about to happen. There's going to be a shift in the atmosphere on this show because of what he's going to bring. So go ahead and share, put it in all your groups, because people aren't going to want to miss this, and you're not going to want to miss this either. So without further delay, I'm bringing in Pastor Keon Henderson. Hi, Pastor Keon.
How are you?
Good. Good to have you with us today. I'm so excited. I've been reading The Shift. I know people are sick of me saying The Shift. I have it out of the sleeve.
I'm told that you read the whole book already. Is that true?
Well, Portia has.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie. It's definitely not gonna lie to a pastor, right? But I'm almost done. It just got here. Amazon shipped it this weekend. So I'm almost done, but I have some points I want to bring out right away. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Since we're in early, we got a little extra time. Tell us how you ended up in Houston.
Well, first of all, let me thank you all so much for having me, and to the NAACP, as it is said, the oldest and the boldest civil rights activist. Thank you all so much for your work and what you're doing down in Georgia right now in all of the chapters. This is a great time to be African American. It's a great time to be Black, as we say, and your work is amazing. How I get to Houston is crazy. I am originally from Gary, Indiana. And then I got a basketball scholarship, and I went over to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and played basketball. Well, from there, I went to Tacoma, Washington to get my master's degree in theology, right? So I'm in Tacoma, Washington, and I preached a commencement message for our graduating class. I am 24 at the time, the youngest master's attendee, and there's another guy in there that's 64. He's the oldest. Mm-hmm. I preach, he listens to me preach, and he says, God told me to tell you that you're supposed to succeed me at my church. Now, at the time, I don't think he has anything, because he's wearing Skechers. He's got a members only jacket on. And I'm like, what kind of church do you have? But I get to Houston. This guy has thousands of members in this huge building. So he brought me to Houston to preach at his church and to succeed him as a senior pastor of his church. And just to let you know how this story ends, 9 months into the process, 3 months prior to the transition supposed to take place, he gets up on a Sunday morning in front of the entire congregation on the 86th anniversary of the church and says, just want to let y'all know that this is Keon Henderson's last Sunday. He says he's not going to be the next pastor of this church. And somebody stood up, a lady named Pearl Burton. She said, I thought you said he was going to be our next pastor. Did God lie, or did you lie? He told her to shut up and sit down.
Wow.
So that's how I got here. And so it's not a fairy tale. It's not like I fell in.
That was a shift.
It was purely chaotic, but God has turned that struggle into progress.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I might have just packed my bags and moved back to Florida, because that's where I'm like, golly, just do me like that in front of all these people.
I thought about going back, but see, and it's this thing like everybody's talking about with COVID-19, talking about can't wait to get back to normal. One of the things that I've always lived by in my life, I don't go back to anything. Go back to what? Go back to what I left. If it was that good, I shouldn't have left it, So I wasn't going back home. I promised my mom I was going to make it. I told my siblings that I would pick our entire family up, and I did that. And so I wasn't going back, but it was hard to stay.
Wow. And that's a testament to your mother, that type of resilience that she had to have instilled in you. You watched her. You talk about that in the book, about the strength of your mother. So that resilience, don't go back to anything. Y'all better write that in those comments. I'm watching the comments from Facebook. So that's amazing. The thing that first jumped out to me, even in the introduction, it's on page, what's this? 17. You're just one shift away from your next great success. You know, and with us being in COVID-19, it is uncomfortable. You know, it may feel like everything's falling apart, but we just got to move with this shift. So how have you been adjusting to COVID-19, the challenges of this?
Yeah, it's been difficult because I'm normally gone. Oh my God, I travel 3 to 4 days a week, right? And so I haven't been out of Houston since the 13th of March. So I'm just trying to make it, because I'm like, when y'all gonna open up Mexico or something? Somebody got to open and let us in, right? So that's one thing. And then, but I spend more time with my mom and siblings than I have in a long time. Man, we play spades and Uno and air hockey and ping pong with my daughter. So the adjustment has really let me know how much attention I wasn't paying to the main thing, right? Because I got so wrapped up in the preaching and traveling. And I've been to Africa 6 times in the last 12 months. You know, it's just, so it's really a focus in from a personal standpoint. Business-wise, I have to tell you, I can't understand how I'm doing better in COVID-19. 32 million people have lost their jobs. And I can't tell you how. I have been more charitable in the last 3 months than the previous 3, right? So we're now, instead of feeding 200 or 300 families a day, we're up to 2,000 and 3,000 families a week, right? And we are just last week we sponsored the entire Memorial Hermann Hospital over on the north side and bought lunches for over 1,500 nurses, because we thought the name of the book is The Shift. How can we make it easier for people during their shifts? So when their shift changes, one of the things you have to do is you have to get in the car, drive somewhere to get something to eat, and then you got to stand in line because they can't let more than 10 people in. We said we're going to stop all of that. You're going to spend your whole lunch break trying to get a sandwich. So we are bringing food to them. We have sponsored the Salvation Army portion at the Fondy, 120 homeless men along with the city with Mayor Sylvester Turner. So for me, the adjustment is just, finding out how to better do the work that we've been doing and to seek opportunities to be effective. Psychologically, it's been difficult because I'm a goer. But other than that, much energy has been put into making sure that other people are okay.
Okay. I'll put a pin in that because I want to come back to the psychological part of this experience, this season of COVID-19. But as a business owner, I know you're a pastor, now an author, soon to be New York Times best-selling author. As a business owner, has this challenged you, or as someone who supports business owners, what are you seeing from that standpoint?
So now you're gonna make me do something that I didn't want to do, that I did in the book. So, because like vulnerability is one of my best assets, right? Like you got all of these pastors and leaders who want to go around and act like nothing's wrong. And so I thought, if there's ministry in all of these other places, I thought maybe there's ministry in transparency. So while most people in America and in the world are going through a public trauma, what about the people who are going through private traumas? Because here's the truth. I'm going through a divorce right now.
Oh, wow.
I am quarantined in a house alone, right? Wow. So I got a divorce September of last year. So no noise in the house. I hear noises that I didn't know there. I think it must be somebody, a raccoon or something that lives upstairs. He always walking. I think that much is to be said, because everybody knows what's going on the outside, but you don't know what's going on in the hollow walls of homes. So now you got domestic violence that's up, and you got all of these things that are going on. So my adjustment has been difficult because I've been trying to adjust to a new norm. So I don't have anything to adjust to. It would be good to be quarantined in a house with a lot of noise and a lot of people and things running around, but I don't have that, which is why I've been able to spend more time with my parents. Business-wise, it's been the most profitable month of my entire year.
Wow.
And let me tell you, this is for entrepreneurs who are listening. Whenever you start a business, the first thing you should do is try to make sure that you have a business that is recession-proof. You don't just start a business because you have a passion to do things. And I love passion-based businesses because I have some of those. But what you want to make sure that you do is that when you get your main stream of income, you want to, if you can, make sure that that income is not stressed by the market. So there are several things that you can do. People have to get sick. That's why every time something happens, medical prices and stocks go through the roof. Another business, taxes. People always have to file taxes no matter what the economy does. You may not like it, but people who are in the mortuary business and people have to die. There's just certain things that you do. And so now for people who do hair and who do nails, that was a great business. And it is a great business model when we can come outside. But what do you do when people are now ordering their shellac from Amazon and doing their hair in the kitchen? So make sure that you have make sure you have a stream of income that's not connected to the market, that's connected to the need of humanity. And so I've been able to survive because all of my businesses are connected to need and not the economy.
Wow. That was good. I hope y'all got those nuggets. Essential, not just passionate.
That's correct.
Not just passionate. So I know you're an athlete, right?
Yeah, I used to be.
You used to ball a little bit.
A little bit. I dunked 2 days ago, and I thought, man, I'm almost 40 years old. And I can still get up there. I'm gonna hold on to it a little.
Be careful with that. So tell us how you've been taking care of yourself physically in this time. Like what has this done to your regimen? I'm pretty sure that you ordinarily would have a schedule with someone who travels like you, right? So you probably had a schedule, a routine. How have you been able to adjust in that regard in being still, but still trying to keep up with yourself?
Yeah, I got an app. I got it on my phone right now. I can tell everybody the name of it. You need to get it. It's an app. It's about $30 a year. It's called Home Workouts. Mm-hmm. And it'll send you a workout every day. It'll send you a reminder and alert to let you know you have to work out. Because I refuse to go back into the sanctuary and people can see my stomach through my shirt. I'm not going to let it happen. So what I am doing is, and listen, and there are certain things that you can do. Like I do 50 push-ups before I get in the shower, 50 push-ups when I get out throughout the day. If I'm watching television, I'll do 30 to 50 sit-ups in between commercials, in between the show I'm watching, just all day long. And people you would think that that's not a lot, but if you add it up, you may end up doing 400 or 500 push-ups in that day. Or for somebody else, it may be 100, and 100 is better than 0, or maybe 100 sit-ups. So I've been using the app. My trainer will send me stuff, on some videos and say, do this stuff. And none of it has weights. None of it has weights. It's all body weight. And so that's one thing. The other thing I do is I make sure I get out of the house. You have to get out of the house and go around and people watch and make fun of people and all that kind of stuff and laugh at them. There's one man, he's got a dog across the street. And me and him got this love-hate relationship because he always barking at me. And I'd be like, I know if you get loose, you ain't gonna do nothing. So why don't you just be quiet? I entertain myself. I watch. There's a bird that keeps coming in my front yard. It's red. I don't know his name yet. We haven't met, but just little small things. I watched.
That red bird.
Yeah, I know. I'm losing my mind. Can you tell? Tiger King. I watched it twice. I watched it twice. I love Joe Exotic.
Twice?
I don't care what nobody say.
You've watched it twice? So did you see the latest? And I know you guys are like, when are they going to talk about the book? But I just wanted to, I want to make sure that this is conversational. So today I read an article that the signature on the second wheel, that an expert said it was actually traced. So Carol is looking more and more guilty.
I knew it. Let me tell you something. I saw it on TikTok. Everybody know Carol did it. Now I ain't trying to indict nobody publicly, but everybody know that she fed that man to the tigers. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
It's weird. And then they got a new episode that came on after it's all over that everybody's quarantined. So everybody did it from an iPhone. So go out and check that out. But I watched it twice.
Okay. So I know everyone's waiting for the book.
All right.
And I want to jump into it. So you wrote this book. What season in your life were you in when you started the shift?
It's the question that I get all the time. And my life has been marked by these shifts. Do you know the day that Mayor Sylvester Turner got on the news in Houston, Texas? Go back and trace it. It was March the 24th. That's the day that he shut the city down. Now, here's the craziest thing in the world. March 24th of 2020 is Keon Henderson Day. Okay. He made it Keon Henderson Day, which was the day that my tour was supposed to kick off for the book, which was the day that the city shut down and I couldn't go anywhere. Wow. That marks my life. That's just how it is. That's just how it goes. The season that I was in when I wrote this book, I get that question all the time. I actually have been writing this book for 15 to 20 years. This just was the season to let it out. I had no idea that the globe would be in the shift. I had no idea that you and I would be in the shift. I had no idea that the NAACP would be in the shift. I didn't know that, but God did. So here is the truth. The story comes from the fact that I was a senior in college and a senior pastor at the same time. Okay, I started a church in college with 5 people while I was in college. And they used to all go to sleep every sermon. I couldn't figure out why. Every time I preach, all 5 people go to sleep. Now you're smiling, and let me tell you why. I started the church with 5 people. They were all over the age of 72.
Okay.
Okay. And so I went and told my pastor one day, I said, you got to help me learn how to preach better because every time I preach, they all go to sleep. He said, everybody in your church is 72. They're not asleep. That's the side effects of medication. He told me that. And I thought, oh man, okay, so I'm not as bad as I think. That church grew to 600 while I was in college.
Wow.
Grew to 600 while I was in college. My coach comes to me one day and he says, you have to make a decision. You're giving half of yourself to God and you're giving half of yourself to sports. You're going to have to make a decision to throw yourself at either one of those. And I'm not telling you which one, but you got to make a decision. I said, Coach, that's the easy choice. I said, I was baptized at 6. I got saved at 6. I grew up in the True Life Missionary Baptist Church, 2323 West 11th Avenue, Gary, Indiana. I said, my father's a pastor. My mother works in the church. That's an easy decision. I'm going to pick basketball. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick basketball, and then I'm going to make a lot of money, and then I'm going to tithe to my church, and then buy a church for God. That was at 4:30 in the afternoon. By 8:30 that evening, I was on a stretcher on my way to the hospital because I'd torn every ligament in my left knee. Mm-hmm. And here's what the Lord showed me. He showed me that he will shift you in the area that you care about so he can shape you in the area that he cares about. I cared about basketball. He cared about ministry. I needed my knees to play basketball. He needed my mind to preach. So he tore up my knee so he could fix my mind. And that was the day that I decided, all right, Lord, whatever you want, I'm going to do it whenever you say it, however you say it. And that's where the book, The Shift, came from. So it actually started when I was in my early 20s. I just now got a chance to release it here in my late 30s.
All right. So I see that the table of contents, all of the chapters start with the letter D. Was that intentional?
No.
Did it start off intentional?
No, it didn't start off intentional. It just worked out that way. When I wrote the first draft of the book, and by the way, to any author who's listening, don't be discouraged because this is the 4th draft of this book. They threw the first 3 back at me. Now, here I am from Gary, Indiana. A mother works at Taco Bell making $7 an hour. We are in abject poverty. And now I have the same book agent as Joel Osteen and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Charlemagne the God and Bishop T.D. Jakes and Brian Houston. It's mind blowing. But if you throw yourself at something, it's amazing what God can do. So the first chapter, Death, Divorce, and Daddy Issues, was actually 3 chapters. When I wrote it, it was 3 chapters. They told me that they all intermingled in some kind of way. So they made it 1 chapter. And when it became Death, Divorce, and Daddy Issues, the alliteration started from there. I said, okay, well, if the first chapter is 3 Ds, then I tried to make sure that it was alliterated the rest of the way, but it wasn't intentional at first.
Okay, yeah. And I picked up on that. So, because I have those 3 things.
Wow.
Right? I lost my father, and that created some daddy issues because I'm watching my friends with their fathers as an adult, and I didn't have that. And that's me being vulnerable because I usually don't talk about that, right? And dealing with that. I'm a child of divorce, right? So yeah, when I always look at table of contents before I start reading. My mom's an English professor, right? So it's just ingrained in me to do that. And I saw it, I was like, boy, this is about to be good. You know, this is about to be really good. So I've cried reading this book. You guys, I have cried because it's as if God is speaking through your pen to the reader, you know, because all of us can identify with this. So there's a prayer that I posted earlier on my social media. I think it's on page 85.
Okay.
And I just thought it was so appropriate for the times that we're in. It says, "Dear God, you have created me for your special purposes to live and serve in this place and time where I find myself now. Help me to trust you in the midst of circumstances that often seem to inhibit my progress. Show me my destiny and give me patience." We can all use some patience right now. "Lord, so that I do not try to take matters into my own hands to speed up the process that is in sync with your perfect timing. Teach me to dance, God, so that I can get in step with you and hear your melody playing in the daily notes of my life. Thank you for loving me and leading me on this amazing dance of destiny. Amen." When you write these prayers throughout the book, do you do that in general? Do you write your prayers out?
I don't. So let me tell you what happened there. So in the audible version of the book, it's me actually reading the book. And so I did the audible version prior to the book being finished. And they would put me in the booth. And at the end of the chapter, they would say, pray. And this is what would organically come out of it. And so they had to do some editing because obviously when I speak normally in prayer, I may say ain't or God, just vernacular that we use. So some of it had to be polished, but I would just pray. And that's like, you would cry, but can you imagine? I was crying probably at some of the same points that you cried, because that was the emotion I brought to it. And that's why when they tried to bring me an actor or somebody to read the book in Audible, I said, no, I want to do it myself because nobody will know where I was when I wrote that. And so I wanted my voice to reflect where I was in life when I wrote that. This book is designed to help people move courageously from season to season, because once you finish being tired, once you finish feeling rejected, once you finish feeling confused, once you finish having your heart broken, then what do you do? And who speaks to it? And who can you tell about it? So this book, when people say, why did you write the book? Let me tell you exactly why I wrote it. I wrote it because I did not have anywhere else to put my pain. And let me tell you, just like you and I, all of us have placed our pain in the wrong places, maybe on people, right? Because we often hurt those who are closest to us. Or if you're like me, then you become a workaholic and you put it into your work. But that doesn't help, because after you finish working, now you're not even happy about what you accomplished. So I figured I'm going to take a risk that I haven't seen many, and some have, that I haven't seen many ministers do. I'm going to put the imperfect me on the pages and still see if people want to hear me preach. I just can't continue to stand up there and say, Paul said that all should should do well and that none should sin and that God hates divorce and you shouldn't use profanity and you should never drink and you should never be depressed. And then you find out that the person you hear preaching has done and been all of those things. So I thought, are there enough people in the world that have enough room in their heart to listen to a minister who God has grabbed and shaped and molded, whose life looks just like yours, and proves on the other side that God can still get wine into broken vessels? That was my purpose. I hope I accomplished it by the time this is finished, because I believe, again, like I said earlier, that there is ministry and transparency.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I can only imagine you crying as you're reading this, because it's bringing it back up. Another thing that stood out to me, I called my best friend today. I was sitting in the car. So you say get out. So I usually get out. Sometimes I'll back my car in so I can people watch. I live in a very busy area of town where a lot of people exercise and are running and what have you. So I people watch, but it's also so I can get fresh air and kind of just get out of the house, because I live alone. And so I was reading a book. My neighbor had stopped and talked to me. I'm reading the book and I get to page 90 and 91. And it's where you go and you start talking about Ruth and Naomi's relationship. Mm-hmm. And so I get to this passage and I just start crying. So I called my best friend. I said, Meredith, they had COVID. They had a COVID situation. What happened to Ruth's sons? Because now we're hearing stories. I know not literally, but now we're hearing stories where someone loses their husband, right? And they're in this foreign place. We're in this foreign time, right? And then she lost her sons. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. And how brokenhearted she was and how mad and bitter Naomi became. And so I called Meredith. She was like, that makes sense, right? And so I was like, I wanted to bring that up because in this time of COVID-19, you know, we're shifting as a branch. We shifted in how we're communicating things to the public. It has this shift, our obedience in this shift has provided us to utilize our social media platforms better, right?
Yeah.
But when I saw bitter, it made me think of the people around this country who won't just be still and hear from God. They're shifting. They're picking up guns to go protest at the Capitol. That's bitterness. That's not believing in the God that you're saying you trust, you know. And I'm not telling nobody not to make no money because I don't have no extra to pay their bills. But I could appreciate in that moment. I heard from God in that moment as I read that. So those of you, as you read this book, just see how that shift is applicable in every area. What is your favorite part of the book? Like, what's your favorite chapter or part of the book?
Chapter 4 is my favorite chapter. But let me say something about what you just said. What you just said to me is an aha moment, because I didn't recognize when I was writing the similarity between what we're going through and what you're absolutely right. Ruth lost her husband, she lost her sons, and her relationship with Naomi was increased in this moment. Because you imagine now they have to go back and move in together. And she says, wherever you live, I'll live. Mm-hmm. Wherever you go, I'll go. So they have a COVID situation. First of all, thank you, because now I got another sermon that I can preach when I get out of this thing, because that's dope. And I want to thank you for it. Chapter 4 is my favorite chapter. Okay, I'm gonna go to it right now because I've got a copy of it right here. And it's the one of deliverance. It's on page 52. And I'm going to tell you why it's my favorite. And it's right at the top where Victor Hugo says, liberation is not deliverance. Let me tell you something. When I wrote that, and I preached on this, a lot of this stuff that I wrote, I preached on first. And the first title, kind of coincidentally, of that chapter is Houston, we have a problem. And I remember writing that. And when I was preaching about it, I got a direct message from somebody on Instagram. And they said, Pastor, what's the difference between liberation and deliverance. It made me think about what I said. And this is why it became my favorite chapter, is I discovered that liberation and deliverance are two different things. And for all the listeners, please write this down. This is as important as the business information. When you are delivered from something, it means that you were in something that you did not have the power to get out of. So Jesus is on the cross. He asked God to deliver him from it. He said, if it be thy will, let this bitter cup pass me by. Deliver me from it. But nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. That's deliverance. Deliverance is when you're in something so difficult that you need somebody else to help you get out of it. African Americans had to be delivered from slavery by a power stronger than us. It took a president and Caucasian Americans and a civil war and all this kind of stuff to bring us through. And then yet we're still wasn't through. So then we come through Jim Crow and all of this. And even now, and not to go off, but there would be little attention to the Ahmaud Arbery case if people of other nationalities were not paying attention to it as well. I saw a video today where a white lady was pulled over by a police officer, and she refused to roll her window down, and she said she wasn't going to do it, and then she drove off, and he had to chase her and all that kind of stuff. She was cussing and going off. He thought she had a gun. He pulled his gun out. He puts the gun back, and he grabs a taser. And I couldn't help to say to myself, had that been one of us, who knows what the outcome of that would have been. So, and I'm not trying to digress, just all of it makes sense. So the deliverance is when somebody brings you out of something that you don't have the power to bring yourself out of. But liberation is when you have the power to bring yourself out, you just have to use your mind to get out. You see, and it becomes my favorite chapter is because I will say this to African Americans since we're here on this platform, guys, we can't look for anybody to deliver us. We must liberate ourselves. Nobody's coming to get us. The person that you're looking for is right in the mirror right now, right in the screen, right in that little lens of your phone or your computer. You have been given the power, the inalienable right of life, liberty, and freedom. You have the right to work. You have the right to fight. You are ingenuitive. You are creative. You have a brilliant mind. And everything has been coming after Black people since we've been here, whether it be slavery, whether it be voting, whatever it is, Jim Crow. And we're so resilient. Why? Because somebody like a Dr. Martin Luther King liberated us, whether it's South Africa and it's a Nelson Mandela, that's liberation. I want you to have your own dream. I want you to have your own perspective. I thought it was the best chapter in the book because it taught people that you're waiting on a deliverer, and Moses, you are him, you are he, you are she. You have the power inside of you. And while we're looking for somebody to save us, I wanted people to know that you are a personal liberator and that you can bring yourself up, out, and back from any circumstance or situation that has ever been launched at you. I have a mother who didn't have an education, who worked at Taco Bell and made $7 an hour and raised 4 kids, became the general manager of Taco Bell, then the state manager of Taco Bell, and then went back to the same store that she used to clean the trays with a wet towel, became the manager of everything in our region, and then hired her family members to work at Taco Bell. Don't tell me it can't happen, but she became a liberator. She became a liberator, and she liberated us and our entire family. So it's my favorite chapter, and I get a lot of feedback from it. So if you get the book, make sure you read chapter 4.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. Let me, I don't want to mess up my little mascara. It's the only day I put on clothes. It's Wednesday. I'm usually in my house clothes. So I don't want you to mess up my makeup with that, but that is beautiful. And that's a whole word. I know we're coming towards the end of our show. I want to bring Portia in. She talked to me about the shift long before I even made contact with you about coming on the show. And I know she has a question for you. So I'm going to bring Portia in.
Hi, Pastor Keon. Thank you so much for coming on our show. I have a really close friend, July, and I have a mutual friend that attends your church, and she just raves about you all the time. And we come in and we discuss Bible study on Wednesday morning. So she goes to yours on Tuesday and I go to mine on Tuesday. And then we come in and we talk about Bible study on Wednesday morning when we were still not quarantined in the office. So she had a question. So I'm going to ask her question. This is from Shan, July. But we read the book together. We pre-ordered it and we were, right there together in alignment when it came out. So she said in the season of shifting, you talk about how there's a need to be prepared and there's a time of preparation. So you use Jesus as the example when he was led into the wilderness. So how do we successfully survive our wilderness and not go back? So you made a comment about you don't go back. Once you're past something, you don't go back. Yeah. But how do we keep ourselves kind of not going back? How do we keep ourselves motivated and not going back? How do we do that?
I got it. And big shout out to July because, she thinks I don't remember, but I do. I can't forget that face. And she's always been as consistent, and you know this, Portia, as consistent and as kind as she always is. And I love that about her. But as it relates to the question, I use an acronym, and maybe everybody listening community can write it down, all of those on the NAACP Houston branch. And if you share this with everybody, I want you to write this down, write it vertically, okay, from top to bottom. I want you to write PACK. PACK, if you get an opportunity to. Okay? And when you write it, I want you to write what I'm getting ready to say horizontally, because I'm going to give you what all of those acronyms mean. The P stands for preparation. Make sure that you're never surprised by hurt. What do I mean by that? Okay? I don't know what kind of hurt you're going to experience, but I do know that you're going to have some. And as long as you know that, you're going to be fine. You have to anticipate hurt. You're going to get hurt by people you love. You're going to get hurt by people you marry. You're going to get hurt by the pastor of the church that you went to. You're going to get hurt by the person in the store. They may racially profile you. Just anticipate pain, because whatever you anticipate, you can deal with. It's like football. They know they're going to be hit. So just before impact, they anticipate it. And when you anticipate an impact, then you can survive it because you know it's coming, right? So you always anticipate hurt. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, well, Pastor, that can't work because how can you anticipate that? Did you anticipate the divorce? No, I didn't anticipate. Nobody does that, but I anticipate hurt. I anticipate pain. I anticipate losing members. So when a member leaves our church, I don't go into bed and roll up and die, because I anticipate that they're going to leave. And I always say that I have no problem with people who leave our church. The only people I have a problem with is the ones who want to leave and they stay. But that's a whole nother sermon. Y'all didn't ask me about that. But you have to anticipate pain. Number 2, this is important, July and Portia. Accelerate. Please hear me. Accelerate. Do you guys watch National Geographic by any chance?
Sometimes.
Well, I want you to Google it on YouTube or something like that. There's this little lizard that you'll see, and it runs on water. It actually can walk on water. And some have labeled it the Jesus lizard or something like that online, but it runs across the water. And when you see it run across the water, its feet, even in slow motion, moving. Now on land, it's going fast, but when it gets across the water, it accelerates. God gave me the revelation. The lizard understands that anytime you're standing on anything unstable, you have to speed up. If the lizard slows down on water, it'll drown. Because anytime you're in an unstable environment, you have to accelerate. You have to move. In COVID-19, this isn't the time to sleep 13 hours a day and do nothing, even though you can. This isn't the time to lay around the couch and binge watch Ozark and everything else. This isn't the time to do like me and watch The Tiger King in one day. Don't judge me. This isn't the time to do that. This is the time to speed up. Get your business plan out and make sure that when this is over, that you have put some thought behind it. Make sure that you're making relationships. See, people don't understand. You have so much time. Why don't you pick up your phone and call the last 40 people that you text? and just say, you know what, I'm just calling to see how you're doing. Why? Because the best time to need a friend is before you have one. So you don't want to wait until you get ready to pitch a business and call somebody and say, hey, I'm getting ready to pitch this business. I want you to invest. How about you've got 5 or 6 phone calls of equity and conversation in before that, so people don't feel as if you're using them. So you got to accelerate. Number 3, the C means count the cost. Because everything that you go to is also mitigated by that which you have to leave behind. The problem with most people is they always know what they want to do, but they have not yet adjusted in their mind or decided what they're going to leave behind to get there. You cannot be everything that you will be and everything that you were at the same time. If you're going to be something, you have to stop being something. I can't say it enough, because we live in a time right now, especially with a lot of young people, we think we can do everything at the same time. You want to be a mother and a father, or a entrepreneur, or a business person, and a mentor, and have a big club and an AKA and an alpha, and you want to be all of that at the same time.
Shout out to them K's.
I was about to say July.
This is what Dr. Caroline Leaf says. She says, whenever you try to multitask with your brain, you decrease in intelligence in another area. Mm-hmm. So anytime you try to do all things, you decrease in areas. And it's like our mama told us, what the jack of all trade and the master of none. So you got to count the cost. What are you willing to leave behind? And then the 4th one, increase in knowledge. Increase in knowledge. I read a book a month. And I know that a lot of people say, how do you do that? I'm getting ready to give you my formula.
4 books.
You read 4 books a month?
That was my goal for this year.
Well, you are an overachiever, and God bless you. I'm not going to do it. I can't remember 4 books. I want to master the one that I read. But let me tell you how I read 1 book, and then we're going to let Portia tell us how she reads 4. Break it down and read 10 pages a day. The average book is 250 to 300 pages. If you read 10 pages a day, you'll read a book a month. That's not hard. You can do the Bible the same way and be done with it by the end of the year. So 10 pages a day. Now, Portia, tell us, how do you read 4 books a month?
So I said that was like my goal. Now, I haven't hit that yet.
It's not my goal.
I've done 3.
It's not my goal. And I won't even be asking God for that kind of help. That's too much sauce. I can't do it.
Well, I have a little bit more time now. I'm not binge watching Ozarks, but I am reading a lot more. So I have used this time to read.
All right.
So that's
well, that's a notable goal. Here I am thinking I'm telling the people to do something great. I do Kolbert.
She did.
Yeah, she just threw me up. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yes.
So that's what we do. So make sure you pack.
All right, Pastor. Well, we've come to the 6 o'clock hour. This is our own show, so we don't have to stop for sponsors or any of that. And I'm sure we could keep going, but I also know it's Wednesday. I got a couple of Bible studies to catch, and I have a 7:30 Zoom because I do have a full plate, right? So I serve AKA, NAACP, and other things, but all of them align with my faith. So I call it all kingdom building, especially what we're doing right now. But before I let you go, I just want to thank you once again for your faithfulness, your obedience, and your vulnerability today. I thank you for that transparency that you've offered us. I feel like I was in the living room with you, like we were just holding a conversation. And So I just want to really extend that gratitude to you to extending your time. I know you're very busy. I'm not Shani O'Neal. I know you're on these big platforms with these amazing people. And so on behalf of the Houston branch of the NAACP, we truly appreciate you. We know the work that you're doing, not just in our community, but in around the globe. And so I just want to let you know that we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. I want to share with the audience, the listeners, initially, Pastor Keon had agreed to come in and be a commencement speaker for us. We wanted to do something for the 2020 graduates. And about 2 weeks ago, Mayor Turner announced that he was partnering with the area superintendents around Houston, so all the different ISDs. And so therefore we saw that the need wasn't for us to do a commencement program, but it did provide us to shift and still keep Pastor Keon and bring him in for this episode. So I really want to thank you and let you know how much I appreciate you for your willingness. Before we let you go, though, leave us with a few last words.
Well, again, thank you so much. I think that this is the time, I can't say it enough, to accelerate. I want people to speed up. And normally, everybody's saying, slow down, take your time. I don't think that this is the time to slow down. I think this is the time to accelerate. I think that whatever you're going to do, you better strike while the iron is hot. Whatever you're going to start, you better start it right now, because interest rates are as low as they're ever going to get. If you're going to buy a house right now, this is the time to do it, because you can almost get it for free, the money for free. I think that this is the time to accelerate and not slow down, because here is my mantra in life. Find out what 97% of the people are doing and do the exact opposite without any explanation. There is a reason why you always hear them talking about the top 3%. There is a reason why only 3% of Americans have library cards. There is a reason why the minority is the minority and the majority is the majority. And let me tell you, even when you don't know, find out what everybody is doing and do the opposite. That's my parting word and my final advice.
Where can people purchase the book? I saw it in the comments earlier. What's your website?
You can go to KeonHendersonBook.com, K-E-I-O-N, KeonHendersonBook.com. And what we've done is we've created a place where every retailer who sells the book is within inside of that website. So whether it's Audible or Books A Million or Barnes and Nobles, wherever you want to get the book from, it's all inside of KeonHendersonBook.com.
Okay. And lastly, your social media. How can people follow you to get your nuggets? I know you had the talk last week. It was a clip on Instagram. I went to YouTube to watch the full thing with the brothers on stage. But where can people follow you?
Yeah, you can follow me at Pastor Keon on Instagram and Twitter, and then Keon Henderson on YouTube and Facebook.
All right. Well, you all, I hope everyone was able to take at least 3 things away from today. I'm sure more than that. Again, thank you, Pastor Keon. I look forward to seeing you.
See you again soon.
I continue prayers and blessings upon your ministry and what you're doing over there at Lighthouse. Truly appreciate what you do for the city of Houston. And if we as the branch can partner with you in any way to help serve, just let us know.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Today has been wonderful. Dre, you ready? Today has been wonderful. This has been a very impactful show. I do want to let you all know that CommuniTEA is available on our YouTube page. So if you want to share it and you don't want to just say, hey, just go look at their Facebook, you can find this exact date, this show, over on our YouTube page. So again, thank you all. Tomorrow, we will be joined by Dr. Gath for COVID-19. He's going to come in and talk to us about COVID-19. He's a world-renowned infectious disease specialist. I have to slow down, right? Infectious disease specialist. And he will be here tomorrow to just talk to us about the real deal, what's really happening, what this virus is doing to people's bodies. I spoke with someone earlier today. They had COVID-19. They've come out of COVID-19, so they're no longer testing positive, but now they have some other health issues because of what COVID-19 does to the body. So be sure to tune in here tomorrow at 5:00. You'll see him come in and talk with us about exactly what is happening around that virus. Dre, you have any parting words for us?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Not at all. Okay. And Portia?
You know, I always have extra information. So like July talked about earlier in the show, we are having a branch meeting tomorrow. If you're already on our email list, if you're a member, you should be on that email list. You'll get that email with the information to register. for the meeting for tomorrow. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. Additionally, just want to highlight this weekend, we'll probably talk about it tomorrow as well, but this weekend we're going to have another mass distribution event, mask and glove distribution event at the branch. So be on the lookout for that flyer that's going to come from our branch on our branch Facebook page and other social media. I'll also include it on the young adults page. And then just if anyone is in need of just food right now or groceries from their house, there's multiple food distributions going on. There's a food and mass distribution at my church where I attend, the Church Without Walls. That's going to be on Friday from 1 to 6. That is the address. I have to look at 5527 Queenston. So that's over the northwest side of town in Jersey Village, Katy area. If you're in need on that side of town, there's Windsor Village. July's church is having their food distribution twice a week. So they had one yesterday. They're going to also be there tomorrow from 3 to 6 at the Power Center. If you're over in
South Post Oak,
Main and South Post Oak. Also, Target Hunger is going to be in the Spring Branch area tomorrow as well from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Carverdale Community Center. That's 9920 Puerto Rico Road. That's also kind of on the northwest side off of 290, between 290 and highway, the Beltway. So if you're in need of food, there's still food distributions going on. So I encourage you guys to do that. And lastly, if you have not done your census, please do your census, 2020census.gov. That is a major component in the resources that we receive as a state. I looked it up in 2010. We only, for the state of Texas, at 64%. That's a lot of resources that we lost as a state. So millions and millions and millions of dollars. So please, 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 in your network, share that information. Do your census. We still have time to fill it out, but the earlier you get it done, it takes you 5 to 7 minutes to finish. So just want to encourage you to do that. And if you're not registered to vote, we'll share that information as well, because we want you to be registered and prepared to vote in July.
Yes. And before we go, next week, we will have our law enforcement episode. So be sure to tune in. We'll be joined by 2 of our constables. We'll be joined by Precinct 1 and Precinct 4 constables. We'll also be joined by Harris County Sheriff as well as Houston Police Chief. So we'll have 4 law enforcement officers here, or leaders here next week. And we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening in our communities. We've had a lot of police involved shootings. You know, we've heard conversations. Some of them were quote unquote justifiable. We hear this word compliance a lot. So we'll be able to hear from the leaders next week of these organizations or these law enforcement organizations, as well as to ask them the tough questions and to give them our expectations. So make sure you tune in. And if you have a question that you would like us to ask, you can always comment in publicly on our here on the feed, or you can inbox us here on Facebook. Lastly, before we go, we want to encourage you, please, 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 please share that Dr. Gath will be here with us tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. Again, what he's going to bring to the show for that special edition, it's going to be very impactful, and it will really help us understand why opening up, you know, it's good for the economy, but to really put it in perspective about what this virus is doing to our bodies. And remember, your health is your wealth. So just keep that in mind. So I want to thank Pastor Keon. I want to thank Cantu and Ed. I want to thank Anthony. We're going to get Anthony back on here. Antonique, and of course, our special correspondent, Keandre. Want to thank all of them for joining us today. And we want to thank you all for joining us today. So we look forward to seeing you here tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. Make sure you're following our page. Even if you don't live in Houston, the information that we're putting out is applicable in most communities around the country. So just make sure that you're sharing it and you are tuned in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.